All right, this week in Exercise Science Lab, we talked about hamstring mobility and biarticular muscles. All right, so uniarticular or biarticular muscles are muscles that either cross one joint, one articulation, or two joints, two articulations. All right, biarticular, two articulations or two joints. All right, the two primary ones we'll talk about in this example are the gastrocnemius that goes from over your ankle joint, over your knee joint, and inserts into your calcaneus, more or less, becomes your arch. And then it goes up and attaches to your femur. Your hamstring muscles, for the most part, attach from your pelvis, your ischial tuberosity, your sit bone, that's where they originate, and then they insert into your tibia, touching on your fibula as well. So that's the biarticulation, hamstrings over your hip and knees, gastroc over your knees and ankles, all right? So if I straighten my knee, for example, I'm gonna put a stretch on the back of my leg, all right? But the example was in a supine position, I'm gonna lay back. So this is a nice functional anatomy review, but also gives you a good idea of how and why to stretch the muscles of the back of your leg. If you are simply trying to get better with a high knee skip, all right, I'm in a skipping position here. I'm in a single leg stance position here. I am jumping off my left foot to do a right-handed layup. I'm running over a hurdle. I'm stepping over a baby gate, a dog gate, a bush. I'm doing a high knee march. All these positions. If I just want to get better at this hurdle step pattern, I can just pull my knee to my chest. Now remember, this is an active exercise, active mobility exercises, let's call it, where I'm extending my left leg and I'm flexing my right hip. I'm extending my left hip, or it's just sort of neutral in anatomical position. My right hip is being flexed actively. If I grab my knee and pull it back, that is more passive stretching, okay? If a partner did that, that would be more passive as well, all right? Now, why can I passively or actively pull my knee back further if my knee is bent? Because of the biarticular muscles. So think about my hamstring first. It attaches basically in my sit bone, my ischial tuberosity. It goes up my thigh and connects above my knee. So if I bend my knee, I put a little slack in the system. That's a little more relaxed, so it allows me to pull my leg back. If I begin to straighten my knee, it's going to elongate and lengthen my hamstring. All right, it's going to tighten that muscle and it doesn't allow me to go back quite as far. That's what we call passive insufficiency. I am passively, at some point, it's just my passive flexibility is insufficient in allowing me to go any further into hip flexion. So with my knee bent, I can go there, but as I extend my knee and stretch that hamstring, it's not going to allow me to go back any further because of the nature of the biarticular hamstring muscle. All right, now, if I want to focus on my hamstring, what I want to do is keep my knee slightly bent and I want to pull back and I can hit the belly of my hamstring. If I want to grab my toe, grab here, actively, whatever the case. That's hitting a good hamstring stretch, okay? Now, the gastrocnemius is the other biarticular joint. That attaches above my knee, all right, proximal to my distal heel, which goes over my ankle. So if I totally straighten out my knee like that, now I'm stretching my gastrocnemius and it's going to limit my hip flexion even more, all right? And that's the answer. That's what we talked about in lab, all right? So now I'm stretching both my posterior thigh muscle, my biceps femoris, semimembranosus, or semitendinosus, semimembranosus, my hamstrings. I'm also stretching the gastrocnemius. Now, if I plantar flex, that's another joint here that's going to put a little slack in the system. So I can plantar flex and pull back a little bit more. But when I dorsiflex, now I really put a stretch on that hamstring. So if I really dorsiflex and straighten my knee, I am really stretching out the entire posterior chain. So I recommend for your stretching to do all of these. Hit your hamstring, hit just your hip. All right, this is not bad for your hip capsule, for your hip joint, for your opposite hip flexor, your contralateral hip flexor. And then you can straighten your knee, or begin to straighten your knee and point your toe. And then you can straighten your knee all the way out and then pull your toe back towards your shin into dorsiflexion. Allow you to stretch the two major biarticular joints along with the other muscles in the back of your leg, all right? Improving hamstring mobility, flexibility, your hurdle step pattern, etc. All right, that's this week in Exercise Science Lab. And again, we're going to come back with a few more mobility and stability exercises, so I'll see you then.